Good evening and welcome. Good evening. I am always super excited to join you every Monday evening as we have big conversations that matter to the woman. Okay, you're welcome. My name is Miriam Mensah. The show is The Dish on MX24. As always, we bring you thought-provoking discussions, empowering perspectives on women's issue, and of course, a focus on global development. Okay, come along as we continue to elevate women's voices, disrupt outdated norms, and drive real change with progressive women. I keep telling you that the tagline is progressive women. If the woman is not mentally progressive, please, they're not sitting in my couch. And those who sit in my couch help you become that kind of woman. And so again, you're welcome. This beautiful set is put together by Decozone. I want to say big thank you to Decozone. But also, I want to encourage you that if that house will be a home that whilst you're at work or somewhere else, you think about how serene your environment at home is and you want to come back home, Decozone will give you that peace to make the house a home. So please grab one of the pieces. In fact, the good thing is that when you get there, you're spoiled for choice. So you just have to pick amongst all the beautiful things that are over there, and then you thank me later. I'll say, okay, I want to say big thank you to Epiglow. Epiglow says your skin is struggling. Okay, it's going through a lot. Your life is going through a lot. Your skin too should go through a lot. It's not good. It's not a good thing. And another warning for you this week, okay? Don't use that body cream on your face. You are doing criminal things. It's not good. Okay, it's not good. So grab yourself an Epiglow facial cream and body cream and thank me later. Okay, I also want to say big thank you to Gino, Telesol, Cowbell Coffee, and Betway for coming on board. I'm so grateful to you, wonderful brands, for joining me. Help women grow and be a better version of themselves. The hashtag is The Dish on MX24. And of course, that's on all social media platforms. So if you want to send in your comments, hashtag is The Dish on MX24. Tonight, we're tackling a topic that's often at the center of many conversations. I think that when I was discussing this with my mom, which I always tell you that I do, every topic goes to my mother before it comes anywhere. And she told me that when you read the Bible talks about specific things that should be done in marriage. And that is a man, the man is commanded to love the wife. A woman is required or is asked, not commanded, I want to get the exact words, I'll get them for you, to respect the husband, because these are things that could easily slip them. You could easily disrespect your partner just because you think you're together with them. And so the Bible was very specific on these things. But today we're going to touch on it. Is it a matter of tradition? Okay, when we talk about submissiveness in marriage, between you and I, you know that this conversation is big, right? Because like 21st century, lots of women, submission has to be two-way. Like, he has to submit, I submit. I heard that, I was like, when did this one come? Okay, you people, when did we constitute this one? I didn't see this one coming. Someone said respect is both ways. If the man doesn't respect me, I cannot respect them. And I'm pretty sure you've heard big things about this thing. But today we're going to have this conversation extensively with my very equipped, very intelligent, very resource persons, and that is in person of Mrs. Victoria Nkansah. She is an actress, an entrepreneur. I understand I'm a friend. Yes. Entrepreneur. I said I was going to get it. Good evening.
Good evening.
You look amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, Mrs. Nkansah. Okay, and also we have Dr. Mrs. Theresa Larbi. Good evening, Mrs. It's very difficult to look at someone who's like a mother to be doing, like, I won't say, Nkansah home, but I send the doors too much. Well, good evening, ladies. How are you doing? Awesome. I'm pretty sure when you saw the conversation on submissiveness for women who are married, because also note that we're not bringing people who don't understand or who are on social media just blubbing about topics. These topics are very important topics. We need the young people watching us, and we need to send and educate them the right way. Yeah. And so when we talk about the conversation on submission, when you saw the topic, how did you feel? Like, let me take it from you.
Submissiveness is something we've always been hearing. It's been a debate amongst women why we have to be the ones to submit. Some that are in marriage and outside marriage always, battle with this topic. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm sure we'll dissect it with our experiences and all the knowledge that we have about submissiveness in marriage. Yeah.
Also, this was what I was trying to say earlier before we get into you, because you're going to kickstart the conversation on submission for me. The Bible says that, that's in Ephesians, is it Ephesians 5:22 all the way to 25? It says husbands are commanded to husbands to love their wives, mirroring Christ's love for the church, while wives are encouraged to respect their husbands. Encouraged, you hear commanded, you hear encouraged. And they're not the same things.
Yeah.
Encouraged is eshaho but manimbra. Remember
You command them.
On a lighter note, which version are you reading?
This is the good news.
Okay.
Yes, this is the good news. Because in other versions,
which is good news. The good news telling us the good news.
The good news that you are commanded to love your wife. The conversation submission for you, what does it mean?
Okay, well, first of all, when I saw the topic, I was also like, wow, because submission is kind of a thorny topic now.
Yeah.
A very dicey topic to handle with all the, care that it deserves because of all the issues that surround submission. Yeah. And there have been many ways that people have seen submission, maybe based on the experiences of others or even they themselves. And when I think of submission, what comes to mind is making room, accommodating other people's perspective in a way that is able to handle avoidable, disputes, because there are some conflicts that is avoidable if you are able to handle it well. So if you're able to make room or if you're able to accommodate, then it helps you to be able to put your thoughts together and be able to make the right decision. Sometimes people shun away from the word submission because of the various interpretation that has been put on it. For some people, it feels like an oppression. For some people, it's like you don't have a say. It's like slavery, virtually. Yeah. And so, as humans, we all want a place of comfort. So once you see something that is going to affect you, the first reaction is that you get defensive. And so you don't even take your time to look at what is it that submission entails. So for me, I believe that submission is making room, and it's coming from a place of trust of a particular leadership, because we all have submitted in many ways to school authorities, to your parents, to siblings, sometimes even to your friends, colleagues at work, our bosses. So we do submit, but it's coming from a place of trust and also making room for a particular leadership to thrive. Yeah, so probably generally that's how I'll put it.
I love that bit. Mrs. Nkansah, your thought on the word submission. When you were getting into marriage, did you struggle with the thought that I'm going to be saying yes, boss, to this man for the rest of my life? If he says something, I'll not have I'm encouraged not to say much or not to have an opinion. And that's the word, not to have an opinion. In our lives, and even if I wanted to share an opinion, it has to be in a subtle, quiet tone. It has to come a certain way. Did you struggle with that?
Well, I won't say I did, because submissiveness to me, I know, is just geared towards peace, creating a very peaceful environment. And if you say you love someone and you want to settle down with the person, you need to know that you're coming into amicable terms to make a living, to make a home. And so automatically as a woman, as you come demure, in all your glory, you need to be able to, humble yourself. Calm down.
Calm down.
Let the man handle the home. What you add is your peaceful demeanor, your calm demeanor, your woman ability demeanor to, add up to what he has to offer and make the home very beautiful.
So it wasn't difficult for you at all?
No. Wow. I don't see it as that difficult. Maybe because of the kind of man I also married. We have a very peculiar way of handling things. We have harbor a lot of respect for each other. And so when there's something that has to do with me being submissive, we talk about it, and it's on a cool note, like a soft floor thing. It's a cool sheet, plain sheets. There's no trim chain. Well, we could share ideas. We could debate a little bit on a softer note, but it doesn't get to the extreme like that, unless, of course, it's a very difficult situation that we have to deal with. Marriage comes with all these things. So maybe once a while there's an issue, then we need to really talk it out more than just doing the
hashing it out.
So I mean, it's cool overall.
And genuinely, in the public's eye, I'm telling you emphatically that a lot of young girls admire you because you handled yourself so gracefully in a situation. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Your response to that situation just gave everybody like, oh my, that wow, like there was just that what? Which human being is this? But also I believe that someone passed a comment, and I think that it was from a good place. It's like, but it does not mean that it did not hurt.
Yeah.
It just means that the marriage matters more than whatever the situation might have been.
Right. Yes.
Would you tout that as submission?
I will, because submission, again, is like giving consent to be able to come to a good agreement.
Yeah.
I believe that when you look at the marriage context, submission is like one of the policies that we have in every institution that guides order in the institution. And so if at some point you decide out of love and respect, not out of timidity, to allow the other person to, have their way sort of, that passes for submission. And it also means that you have a deep understanding of who you are, what you stand for, when you can come in and when you can step back. So it's empowering when you know your role when it comes to submission.
Yeah. There's a concern, and I think one of my colleagues did tell me that when we had this conversation the first time, or when it came up, she was very worried about the answers she got. For instance, I'll give you an example. A young lady who has just been married about a year was supposed to be on a show with a host. I'm not going to give you names and details. Okay. And the husband said, oh, no, you are there, but don't go on the stage. Let her do her thing. I didn't get a full, information about you being on the stage. You were supposed to be a guest joining everybody else. Why are you going to be on the stage? I don't want you to be. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. My husband doesn't want me to. First of all, everybody was cringing, and everybody was like, but this is wrong. Like, you can't do this. Like, this is so, authoritative. Like, this marriage doesn't look like it's a happy place. But she is claiming she's happy.
Okay.
She would hear her husband, and she would send a message back in a way that might not be disrespectful to him, but she'll still talk about it. And I thought to myself that, is this what the marriage thing is about? Yeah. So people look at some of these situations and be like, submission is oppression. For women who have been in marriage for so long, is submission presenting itself all of a sudden like oppression? I'm going to start with you. Do you want to take it?
Yes. This one is a very
it's hard.
It's a very dicey one because every couple has a way they do their things and how they want things to be done. If, for instance, I have to do A or B and I don't give you prior notice, that's disrespect, okay? Because I'm in this with you. We're partners. It's just like business partnership. And I have to go and do something, and I haven't informed you. And by the time you realize, I'm there. Unless, of course, there's an issue at home. That's when I'll probably want to ignore you and go ahead and do what I want to do. But if I'm still in good terms with you, I need to let you know my plans. Oh, I have, for instance, my husband is aware that I have to be on TV today. I have to go somewhere after. I have another event after. And so he knows every step of the way what I'm involved in. So at what point do I not communicate this to my husband, and once he calls me and I say, oh, I'm on TV, oh, but you didn't tell me. You should have told me. You know, you always tell me. Well, okay, well, it's fine. When you're done, call me. That's how my husband and I
play out.
would behave. But to the extent of telling me, no, you're not filming, get out of the studio, that's a little bit extreme. I probably haven't gotten to that extent.
You've never
or
had that
haven't found anyone who would treat me like that.
But
so
if you had,
I don't know.
if you
but
found yourself in that situation,
dang, massa, it's not that serious. Mommy shooting me, me ba na ya kan ya asem. Do you get what I'm saying? Out of respect, we handle it
for you
properly.
as well.
For me.
Out of respect for you as well.
For
Even
me.
though you are my wife, you have your will,
yes,
do it. But I'm
yes.
going to address it because I want to be in
But
the know.
don't tell me that I have to leave the studio and I'm not filming. Massa, are you Jesus? Are you the one holding my talent? Hey, well. So that one they say no.
Okay.
But I need to. She's supposed to let the husband know every step of the way what plans she have during the day, so that it creates peace at home.
Yeah. Clearly, this man doesn't understand
what the
you
whole,
can accommodate another. In your own understanding, what would you have done in this situation?
Okay, so I'm also thinking same line, but probably the flip side is it something she does always? Is she a media person, or it was just one-off?
This is one-off.
And then what is it that they're going to talk about? Probably the husband is concerned about whatever communication that is going out there. That is why he was putting a stop. So I would rather probe why was he stopping her. Sometimes, just sometimes, it may even be for the good of the marriage, depending on the conversation that was going to go on. And sometimes it may, of course, be out of, selfish desire because I wasn't informed and all of that. So it will be good for us to know why was he insisting.
Me and you are there all of a sudden.
All of a sudden you are going on TV, you are going to talk about what? Why was it? And this can play out in many other areas. For example, maybe you want to stop your job and your husband is insisting, no, don't stop this job, you have to go, and you know it's affecting you, maybe your time, the environment and all. Or the husband is the other way, maybe want you to stop a particular job that you really love and you feel like, no, I want to do this. So it's always important as part of communication, like Vicky was saying, you want to know why is this person, being this way.
Yeah.
That will also help to know maybe there's a good reason, maybe there is not,
reason.
and then you can handle it from there.
So we shouldn't look at it from the sole perspective of complete oppression, it may not really be.
There could be a reason.
A bit of that.
Could be.
There are also men that we have heard. I have not experienced that kind of man who feels like because a woman is asked to submit, she doesn't have a voice of her own.
Yes, that one.
I see you like that one. So please take it.
Yes, I claim out.
You claim out.
There are men who actually deliberately take advantage of that. Because they feel like, oh, a woman is supposed to be submissive. It's, they overplay it. And they tend to be authoritative. They are, there's this word.
Controlling?
Autocratic?
No, controlling, yes, but there's this other word. Is it dominating? Domineering. They want to be on top of you. And that's men call her. Yes, say. I didn't make her say, no, so it's just so, that's how come a lot of women go through abuse. And abuse alone doesn't mean say, it has to do with the words, the things he says to you, how he treats you. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. I can't fathom it. I can't live in such a relationship. And, for some of the women too, they find it very, hey, me could do a pemu. Or some maintenance, or some maintenance had the other matrix. Hey, me could do a penny. All these things, it affects the women. And sometimes out of love and respect, they probably think different, not seeing it as though it's an abuse. Okay? They see it as love and respect. Hey, I worry. The perception, the mindset is totally different. And so this platform we have here is to let people out there who are going through the same situation know that, Masa, the way I will do,
it's not always
can you think the other way? When you think good, think bad. In everything, think good and think bad. So that when the bad is not working, you move to the good. When the good is not working, you move to the bad. Assess your situation so that you know where to fall in. If matters get worse, you bring in the authorities, the families involved, and then you solve the issue amicably.
When we started, you said something about how people were raised, contributing to the things they expect in marriages. I grew up in a home where my mother wakes up in the morning, make breakfast for my dad, and serve on the table. Okay. My husband probably grew up in a home. Okay, so let me switch it that way because it works better this way. I probably grew up in a home where my parents were cool. Yeah. Whilst my mom is cooking, he's brought plates. No, I tell there. No more come on. No, I walk it off. Yeah. You know, we don't have like a proper, you know, set up for daddy's table. Even though they probably have somewhere. You know, they're just really cordial. Yeah. Then my husband probably grew up in a home where in the morning they go to daddy's room and greet him. Then you go and do your chores. Mommy is cooking. Mommy cooks and serves daddy in a special bowl. And a special seat. He has a special seat at the dining table. Or if we don't have dining table, he has a special table. Everybody else sits on the floor. And all of these scenarios. Yeah. And I'm married to a man like this. For him, we're not equal at home. Okay. My treatment has to be different. Yeah. Now, when we're talking about submissiveness, we talk about the conversation of equality also comes in. Does it eradicate the we are one to I am the head and you are the tail and you are nothing without me? Let's assess this entire scenario that I'm giving you right now. Are we getting there?
Yeah, I think that mindset will be a faulty mindset. Of course, we are, for the most part, we are a product of, you know, how we were raised. And so for somebody, and that's why even if I want to go back to the scripture that you read earlier on, when the scripture says, submit to your own husband, not any other husband, your own. Wow, and that means that you need to understand the person that you are married to. If maybe we sample 10 husbands and you ask them, what does submission mean to you? You have different answers, probably 10 different answers, because for them, submission means very different thing. For one, submission may be, give me a cup of tea every morning and evening. I need that.
And don't argue.
Don't argue.
Don't tell me you can't do it.
Yeah. For another person, to submission can be, I have a family land back in my village. I want us to go. Like, these are two different...
Yeah. And agree to it. Let's move.
And so if I'm agreeing to giving tea, probably I would say, that's okay. But if I have to agree to moving, maybe from Accra to my husband's village to do what? Start up a business, then the submission in that sense will be questionable. So I think that how people are raised, what they see their parents do and how they lead their lives, sometimes influence what they think of submission. But I also always think that, and that is why we are learning and we are experiencing different things. Culture usually will shape what you think you value most. But it's also for every person to be able to pick what your value will be based on. So you cannot just pick everything all together, mash everything up and say that is how I want to do it. So if you were raised in a way, were you happy with what you saw your parents do? And why would you want to replicate that in your home? Was it working for them? Will it work for you in your home? And I always give the scenario that if you have given birth to daughters and you're taking them to school, here they are, they're answering questions in class with the guys, with the boys. Some of them are even doing well. So if your daughter grows up the way she is and the way you are proud of your daughter, she's outspoken, she's brilliant, she's that, and you're happy that my daughter is, you know, like vocal, she speaks her mind. What happens to marriage now? If you're married and you would want your wife to go all silent on you, is that what you're expecting for your daughter as well? So I think sometimes we don't pause to reflect on some of our actions. And it's all about us and what we think is right, and that is where we hurt the other person. You go unchecked because you are not really thinking of, is this helpful for the union? Is this helpful for the marriage? So definitely how we were raised also contributes. Even if you're a Christian, how you are discipled also play a very key role. The kind of discipleship you receive, your understanding of what submission is. And by the way, when the scripture says that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church, that is a huge responsibility. Because if you look at what Christ had to go through,
the sacrifices.
And there is submission in there, because at some point he said, I wish you could take this cup away from me, but not my will. So he surrounded his will. So that is submission right there in the dimension of love. And so if you're thinking of just submit, and you know what love means, you will not waste your time on like, demanding for all the submission, because, a dimension of you loving is to be able to make room for the person to express themselves, to be able to dialogue, to talk, and even disagree graciously. And not hold on to, this is how I was raised up, and this is how I want to do. If it goes that way, then it means that one is refusing to to allow things to work, or to let
There's
all
the arguments that submission is not mutually beneficial. But this is the part where we're going to get into right after this commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you see today it's calmer. It's not buzz yet, because I don't know what could come out of the next phase of this show. But please stay right here with us. Our goal is to educate, is to empower the young woman to be the best version of herself. And so that is what the dish is here to do for us all. We'll be right back after the short commercial break. You're welcome back to the dish right here on MX24. Thank you so much for staying with us. Yes, this is where women are empowered and progressive women sit in my couch to have great conversations. Today we're looking at the word submission in marriage. Is it some form of an oppressor statement, or it's calling the right direction? Well, my guests have been doing justice to the conversation so far, and we're going to be getting into that pretty soon. For the rest of the conversation, I'm sure you are going to be learning a bit more than you've actually even thought the word submission could be. But I also want to say a big thank you to Decozon for this wonderful set, also to Nivea, Lele, of course, Gino, yes, and Epiglow. Epiglow says that skin needs a lot of pampering, okay? And Epiglow has something for you. Of course, Betty as well, I want to say a big thank you to you for coming on board. Now, back in the studio, I have Mrs. Safo Nkansah and Mrs. Larbi. I want to add them so they know that I'm talking to experienced people, okay? Okay. We're talking about submission being mutually beneficial. Do you think at some point the men benefit and women even benefit from being submissive? Oh, whoa. You don't understand? So, me being submissive, does it benefit me and benefit the man as well? Because when you look at the scope of things, people are thinking that, listen, we're just pouring. You're just giving yourself to an authority that, you have endangered yourself to be, to be under. You have chosen to be married. You accepted to be married. Yeah. And then you are supposed to be submissive to this man. So you've given your will out. You might want to do things. You might want to do certain things, but because my husband is here, I cannot do them. Yeah. Is there any point that this thing is mutually beneficial? It benefits me to be submissive. Ma, please, your hands are up. We have called you.
Yes, teacher. So the scripture says, and the two shall be one. So when you and I get married, we are one. The same way I would reason is the same way you must reason in terms of coming together to understand the scope in which we want to make an attempt on whatever. So when I say A and my husband is saying B, I need to be able to, banter it, gauge it, and why are you saying we shouldn't do this and this? I think that if we did it that way, it would be better. Or if we contributed that way. Okay. I also think that, so there's a little debate, a lovely debate going on. It doesn't mean slavery. So the benefits, they're enormous. There are things that you probably want to do. You find out from your husband, he adds up to it. There are things that he probably wants to do. He asks me, and then I adds up to it. Yeah. Or, how I check my husband's, outfit, how he looks, his presentation, etc. There are things he benefits from me. Yeah. And that thing I also benefit from, telling him to do that and he heeding to it. It makes me feel good that, my husband's listening to me and I get to style my husband anytime he's making an appearance. And it makes me feel good that, me krude nyame adom otie mekasa on she say on looky say oh looky good mommy, and it makes you feel good and happy in the home. So I think that's benefits in it here. It varies. It differs also based on the concepts, the scenario. So there are a lot of things that happen. It's a lifestyle thing. And obetumi akasa onpe, echina obekasa ope, and you know you mentioned the upbringing thing. It is a big issue when it comes to, you know, upbringing and settling with another person in another home. Because the way I get from fear is different from how I was also brought up. So we coming together, it's like two different parties coming to build another home. So it's a little, you know, chaotic, you know, the different mindsets here coming together. So there needs to be a lot of focus, a lot of, you know, spiritual efforts, emotional efforts, mindset efforts to be able to make a home. And yet easy.
It's for the mature.
It's for the mature people. It's for the people that are strong at heart. It demands a lot of wisdom, a lot of thinking, a lot of intelligence. And that's how come some men, you know, they get carried away. They don't get checked. You mentioned a case on getting checked and then, you know, pondering, having a reflection on what you're doing, things you're not doing, things you should do right. To make sure that your home is intact. It's a whole lot of things.
And also, but I want you to touch on it before I put in the submission. Then we continue.
The mutual respect.
Is there any benefits in that submission mutually? Like both parties, are they able to benefit from this one-side submission?
Okay, so now the question is even skewed because if you say one side, then
because the submission is required of the woman.
Right.
Let's be honest and very very realistic. Nobody's asking the men to be submissive. The woman is the one being asked to be submissive. So that her submission, does it benefit her too?
Her too. Okay.
Does she at some point benefit from this submission?
Right. I would say yes and no.
And no,
And the reason is, how is the person defining submission? It comes back to, like, what do you mean by submission? What does submission mean to you as the lady and even to the man? That is what is going to define whether it benefits you or not. If your understanding is submission means that I trust the leadership of the man that I have chosen because you chose to be with this man. Definitely there might be something about the person that you loved that made you feel that I want to be with this person. And he's going to lead the family. So if you trust that leadership, then your role, like, you know, initially I said, if you go to the workplace, there's like a policy or maybe organogram that guides how the institution runs. In the marriage, if he is the leader and you as the wife, positionally, yours is to submit, then you know that I am going to help the leader to influence to make the changes that needs to go on in the house. When that happens, you are going to benefit because you are going to have order in the home. You are going to have peace. And by the way, leadership is causing influence. And so you are causing influence not just by doing it, but by facilitating. So when the man sees that my leadership is trustworthy, my leadership is great, then they are free to bring you on board, to allow you to take certain decisions. And that's why sometimes if you see marriages that lasted, they think that, oh, the woman is too soft. But you go deep in the home and she's the one who calls the shots. Because she knows how to trust the leadership. And because of that, she's also being given room to also cause some influence. And operate. So depending on the understanding that you will have as submission and how you will play that role, I'm sure you can also benefit. The man will also benefit. If the understanding is not like that, then of course it becomes one-sided. And you feel like you're always pouring and pouring. Sometimes it's not even appreciated. Sometimes it even becomes like a weapon. For some people, submission is like a pill. It's like the pill that changes the marriage. But it's not. It's like if you submit, everything will be fine. But there are underlying issues. So the submission word is not what you are throwing into to change the face of the marriage at all. all
It's
in
a
all.
contributing.
It's a contributing factor, and submission is a product of the relationship. It's not just happening. It's a product of how you guys have built the relationship, the respect, the understanding, and all of that. And submission becomes a product of that. So it can be mutually beneficial depending on how you look at it.
And I want to add this, that in very clear cases of titiawari, the times when we saw our parents or our mothers not talk back at our fathers. If you grew up in a home that your mother didn't talk back much, you realize that there was a certain order. There was a certain order that even made you function properly.
Yeah.
Because mommy is in the kitchen doing certain things. Daddy never enters there. When daddy comes there, you know, there's some...
orderliness.
Yes. So in my house, we used to call it military precision. You know, things are moving like a chess. Like nothing is crossing anything. When daddy enters the house, when you hear daddy's coming and mommy says, daddy is coming at 6. If you're putting your books on the TV and you are going to drink water and going to put it inside the fridge,
run and come and pick it.
to run and fix it.
Yeah.
But at this point also, mommy is not talking back at daddy's decision for the house. So you realize that a safe environment has been created for even your children, not just for the two of you. You've created a safe environment for your family to thrive. So that is how I think that it is. That's how I feel submission can be mutually beneficial.
And I also think that the submission is also a reflection of who your husband is. It reflects his upbringing, his leadership, his voice in the home. I think it's an interpretation of who your husband is. If a woman really is able to submit properly and beautifully, that creates more harmony, more peace, more respect. It makes you feel good as a woman. And I don't think that giddy 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 bebresa. It is a mind game. It's how you put your mind to it. Execute it nicely, and you are good to go.
I love when
and just to pick from where she is, it means that it's growth. It's a level of growth, even when it comes to submission. There is a level of growth that the marriage go through when you learn to submit to even an imperfect person.
Right.
Because the man is not perfect. He has his own flaws. But that submission, you being able to say, well, I don't agree to what you are saying, but I think you can take a shot at that. Let's see how it goes. I'm not standing behind to see you fail, because that is not love. So I do not agree with you, but let's see how it goes. And that is a level of growth even for you, accommodating somebody who is not even perfect.
One more thing I'd like to also add up. I know you're excited already.
I'm loving it.
One more thing I'd like to also add up is that submission is, we shouldn't be so scared of it, because it gives us room as women to be able to function and execute our leadership roles properly at home.
as women.
As women.
Can you imagine that right now there's like a whole project, Embrace Your Femininity?
Yes.
I think that is some madness. I'm sorry, guys. It's 9 p.m. I'm sorry. The children are sleeping. If your child is up at 8 o'clock, that's not good. But I think it's a level of madness.
Yeah.
Like me, my gender is feminine. But all of a sudden, there's a whole campaign to embrace that. It's me.
Yeah.
It's me already.
So
what are we embracing?
this whole thing is flawed because I think women were losing that touch of ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we're losing that.
Because if I'm able to, so I wasn't done.
Yeah.
If I'm being submissive, I'm able to play certain roles. I multitask at home. I'm doing A, I'm doing B, I'm doing C. I'm calling this person. I'm going here. I'm checking the home. I'm making sure there are things in the house. The benefit is that it helps us to harness our gifts, our leadership gifts in us. You know, playing all those roles, it's a lot.
It's healthy.
Adding your career responsibilities. I mean, especially if you own a business or company, it's a whole lot. And so the benefit is that it makes you feel worthy enough that, wow, I'm able to handle this home. I'm able to handle this man. If you're not lucky, your husband is a stubborn one. You're able to handle him. him. If your lucky husband is
and
is
that
not
adds to
stubborn,
your skill. It's a soft skill.
It's a soft skill.
Yeah.
Multitask and manage stubborn people.
It's a benefit in the endorse.
So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Now, this one I have to say it verbatim exactly how I wrote it because this is very important. Now, what role do personal values, boundaries, and communication play in determining the dynamics of submissiveness in a marriage? Because I must say that we might say that, oh, submissiveness is one, but there are dynamics to that.
Yeah.
And I was telling you earlier that there are certain men who don't even like women who do yes, boss. Yes, please. They don't like that.
Yeah.
They'll get upset with you. What is this?
It's a turn off.
It's a turn off for them. But they want to also feel respected. So there has to be some.
That's why I said it's a mind game.
There has to be some type of submission you bring on board that still validates that ego. However, you're not doing yes, please, no, please, no, yes, please, on perspective.
I think that's why the femininity, embracing the femininity comes in. You know, as a woman, you need to be able to play that role, that feminine role, so that you are you're balanced. You're not doing, as you said, yes, a massa. And you know, sometimes men want women who are courageous and can be able to stand up for themselves when they're not there. And so, you know, playing the cards here and there is much more attractive than just being at one place. If you're being tough, like a tough woman,
and that's where the boundaries bit come in. Like my boundaries are that don't talk to me in a high tone. I cannot hear you. I will tune off.
Yes.
Because I'm loud. So when you begin to raise your voice, I'm saying in my head that if I release my thick lips, what it will bring. Like you will not hear. So I tune off so I don't find the offense in it. So those are my boundaries. Like I don't accommodate this. But then I have to be a submissive wife. Now my values also teach me to show up graceful, but assertive, but contributing. But I mean all of these extra things that women add to their personality. I have all of these. I have my values together. I grew up this way. This is how things are done. My boundaries are this. But now I have to be submissive. Now I have to show up a certain way. Then also there's a bit where the men also like the women who do yes amasa. But me, I don't do yes amasa. I respect you, but I don't have to do yes amasa in my mind. Like, why am I doing yes amasa? No, please. I can't do that. So there are these two characters.
There's one thing I have learnt in marriage, right? Or being with someone. There's something that I've really learnt, and it's that values, boundaries, communication. When things happen in a relationship or marriage or whatsoever, I've learned that don't jump into conclusion immediately. Apply wisdom. Have a calm demeanor. Search within yourself. Talk to yourself. Me, I talk to God a lot. You know, I could say I want to speak to this friend or this counselor over something that really bothers me. I advise people. I give people counsel. But what happens to me when I'm also down or when I'm also going through something? And so I try to sink in, calm. That's when the value comes. I value myself. I value my self-respect. I value the respect my husband should give me when there's an issue at home and how I've been able to approach the issue. So I use all those gimmicks to, you know, play the card very well. And I respect that value a lot. And I know that I have a boundary where I'm not coming at my husband in a very harsh way that would put him off or put him away. So I go tactical, step by step, calm demeanor. You know, when it comes to communication, you could be quiet and you're still communicating.
That one is called silent killer. Those kind of people, I don't like to deal with them.
No, for a moment, because you're playing the cards well. Yes. So when you're in the heat of the moment, you need to calm, and quietness. So you want to see how the other party also communicates. Okay, is he catching any vibe from the silence? Is he coming around to? Oh,
he's
baby.
gone.
or he's going away and also staying silent, also communicating with his silence. Do you want me to understand that? Or you want things to die down or something, you know? So values, boundaries, communication is a very tight one. And I think that I'm taking it from the bottom. My value, my boundary, then I communicate however I think that is best for me as a woman so that I don't make things escalate in the marriage.
Considering your values, your boundaries, and your understanding of communication, do you think it plays any significant role in the conversation of submission?
Yeah, I think so, and I totally agree with what Vicky has said, especially when she mentioned wisdom, because again, that scripture we read in Ephesians, when you read the beginning, it talks about living wisely with each other before it's narrowed down to marriage. So even in this submission, you have to be wise about it. What do I mean? That means that what do you stand for? What are your values? What are your principles? How far can you go? How far can you take? You need to know all of that. And how far will the other person be willing to also, you know, make a pause or something like that. So if and unfortunately sometimes people don't really know their values. They may not have a good awareness of who they are, how they should be treated. For somebody, just being quiet and saying, yes, sir, is an act of protection, maybe from where she is coming from. If I don't talk or do much, I'm safe. I don't have a problem. But if I do this and say that, then maybe I get some backlash, maybe based on whatever she has experienced in a previous, even a previous relationship where she felt I was very vocal and this person probably couldn't understand me and all of that. So now I'm being quiet, and for me it's a protective factor. But that is not submission. It's a coping mechanism, but that is not submission. It's just a way that person is trying to cope or manage. Survive, unfortunately. And so we need to know our values, what you stand for, and even be able to be calm but firm about it. It's something I teach my daughters.
No. That's a good one. Don't just brush it off and go. Calm
and firm. Yeah. And
so that you're not being, you know, they don't ride over you.
You're not being trampled upon, because some people can also take advantage. When they realize that, you know, you can easily let them have their way, then they'll start taking advantage of you. And that is when people become very defensive with this submission thing, because if you give in too much, it becomes a card that the other person is going to use. And for this, we are hoping that we are speaking to people who are willing to be considerate. We are speaking to men who are willing to be considerate. We are speaking to women who are willing to be considerate. Because if you look at the extremes, there are some of these advice that the person cannot hold on to because of the person they are dealing with.
Oh my goodness. And I know that we are learning and growing together. Today I have learned a lot of things, and that is why if you see my circle of friends, you understand why I make the kind of friends that I make. Because the journey called marriage is not for the weak. Agree?
I agree.
It's not for the weak. Even the marriages that we call perfect, sometimes when they drop small something for you about the marriage, be like, but some people are thriving at that. What are they doing differently? How are they prioritizing the qualities in each other? So the men, when we meet them, we talk to them. But now we are addressing our issue, which, by the way, when you go on social media, now they have created a whole fight against it, and it has become imperative that we have it here. Because this is the only women talk show in this country that addresses pertinent issues.
Hallelujah.
Issues that matter to the woman.
Well done.
The woman at the end of every season must become a better version of herself. And today I believe that a lot of wives to be, because next week wives. Next week wives, they have learned. Thank you, ladies, so much. Now we're going to get into my final one. And if you notice, all the other conversations I was just asking, but these ones, they were so important to me, these two. Two-way. This one says, how can couples navigate traditional expectations of submissiveness? And when we talk traditional submissiveness, it is the one that no, sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir, yes, sir. I'm not done. While navigating a relation built on natural respect. or mutual respect.
Okay.
So we know we respect each other.
Yeah.
We know we like each other.
Yeah.
We know that we will not stand in public and call each other goats and cows. But we trust each other also that we are equal.
Yeah.
But now we're married, and I am expected as a wife to submit. But society is also expecting me to submit in a certain traditional way.
Yeah.
The way society understands it. It's my now who say the husband is in the kitchen cooking and be like, hey, Obama, oye, Johnny Bengu. But between the two of us, we know we're equal, we're the same.
And that's not a big deal for both of you.
And so for the both of us, it's not
Yeah.
a worry, but the society is expecting a certain posture of ours. How do we manage that and grow the relationship regardless of what the society expects of us?
The only tradition I know here is that in James 4:7, it says, submit yourself therefore to
one
God.
another.
And so if you are a couple and you've come together, you've become one. Both of you are submitting yourself to God. However you treat yourselves is how you're submitting yourself to God. What picture are you painting to God? Say, mama a couple. You can do anything to each other? No. Submit yourself. If you can submit yourself to God, you can submit yourself to your husband. If you can submit yourself to God as a man, that means you can submit yourself to your wife. So the submission, even though we are required or expected to be submissives as women, a man low-key also is submitting. Okay? And that doesn't mean that
loving you through the lenses of God.
Submission is meekness. And meekness doesn't mean weakness. No. You need it. You see, it's a conscious effort. It's something that comes hand in hand. Okay? So ne krakra ne se ne
both of us can be submissive in a relationship.
Yes.
Yours might not be loud. Just might say, baby, I got you. I see where you're going.
Just to the glorification of the name
just
of
do
the
you.
Lord.
I got you. Just know that when it backfires, I'll be here as your husband. But know that I warned you. You know, something like that. It's some level of submission.
It should be a behavior. It should be a behavior. It should be a demeanor. It should be something about you. Submissiveness is not only, required to married women or couples. It has to be a behavior. It has to be an attitudinal, behavior about an individual. It is always a, you would want to go for a man that is, calm. Even though you're going to date to know him proper, you should have a man that is, or Brennan Wasi, or Nkansah, or mindset, or Nkansah, or Nkansah, oh my God. Oh my God. It's more than an order. So you need to, pay attention to all these details, so that first of all, you're going in for the kind of man you think you can cope with, not the kind of man you think you can change.
Hey. The next topic.
Because that's not your role.
Because
it's not your role. For me, I say, when scripture talks of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, it talks of self-control.
Yes.
The only person you can control is yourself.
Yes.
We are not called to control anyone.
Anybody.
We are not called to control people. If there is anything that needs to be done, it's you yourself. How much of yourself can you handle, control, and allow God to help you? I don't know if I can just continue with.
Yeah, continue. Please continue.
And so, looking at the traditional bit and when I look at that question, it tells me that submission is a state of the heart. It's not just what you're doing, but at your heart level. How do you see people? If you say, this is my wife, how do you see that person? How much value do you place on that person to even give her room to speak her mind, or to do things that she loves, or to be supportive and all of that? So somebody can be very quiet and not submissive. There are people who are really quiet and sober, but at the heart level, they are very strong-willed, strong-hearted, and there is nothing you say or do that moves them. And that's not what submission is about. So at the heart level, it is, am I ready to give this person room, to listen to their perspective, to help them go through this marital life. That is at the heart level. If you don't handle it at the heart level, all the other things will just be plugging, this and that, and making issues of all, so many things. Like every issue in the family will be centered on my wife is not submissive.
Yes.
And yet there are so many other underlying factors that has not been handled. So again, we need to look at the heart level traditionally, because somebody can be very outgoing and yet is very humble and submissive. In terms of how much they are willing to let the other person, have their way or take the lead or give them opportunity to grow. And so it's not just about the behavioral aspect of probably just being quiet. And I remember for me, I did not just arrive at this understanding of submission because I am naturally a very quiet person. But I am very strong when it comes to like confrontational. I could really speak my mind and speak it like firm, but hitting it. But I learned through marriage that there are other ways I can handle it without really insisting on, because I think and feel I know it is right, this is how it's supposed to be. So I learned through that. The approach, exactly. Sometimes the energy with which you talk, the tone, the timing, and all of that. So if you look at all of that, then it means you are working on your heart, on yourself, and you become a better person, because eventually submission becomes like effortless, because you know when to pull which string, you know when to do what, and you don't have to struggle so much.
So, Nkansah say, what we have, the conversation we've had on this show is that being submissive is not inequality. It does not disenfranchise you. It's not to your disadvantage. It is actually to your benefit, and that is how you approach. I'm going to borrow her words. It's how you approach the situation. But the Bible requires you to be respectful and submissive to your partner as a woman. I think that all of this fight for us to embrace our femininity ends here, where we understand that we have a role to play and a man has a role to play. You don't have to be another man in your marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, I am becoming a best version of myself, because meeting these women always empowers me and teaches me to be a better version of myself. I'm sure if I go and get married right now, my husband would be a very, 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 very happy man. But ladies, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I enjoy talking to you about marriage, because you... Mommy, thank you so much, and it's so nice meeting you.
You're welcome. Let me just chip in,
please.
Probably as an admonition for all the other people who are looking forward to getting married, that who you choose is very important. Because your role and position as a wife encourages you to submissive. So you look out for that as well. So that you know that I am willing to go this extent.
Awesome.
Yes, and you do that submission with a lot of wisdom, so that it's not everything that you are succumbing to.
Thank you. That's why it's punchline for the end of the show. But ladies, thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I really, really appreciate this. And to you out there for showing up every time on Monday to enjoy this conversation, but also to learn and be the best version of yourself. Thank you. We'll see you again next week. It's The Dish on MX, okay? The Dish. It's the only show that helps you be the best version of yourself as a woman. I love you so much. My name is Miriam Mensah. See you again next week.